All right, welcome class, welcome class. How are you all tonight? Welcome to week 2 of 21 Days to the Life You Love. Let me start by saying, can everyone hear me loud and clear? Can everyone hear me loud and clear? Tamara said her weekend was too short. All right, can I get everyone to say if they can hear me loud and clear or not? Waiting for you all's response to make sure you can hear me before. Okay. All right, there we go. So Tamara, you can hear me. Great, great, great. Okay. All right. So long as you refresh your screen and hit play on the video, you should be able to hear me loud and clear. All right, let's get started. All right, we're in week 2 of 21 Days to the Life You Love. So excited to have you all here tonight. It's going to be a fantastic night. We got a lot of really cool things that'll be going on, that are going to be going on tonight. We got a lot of great things we want to impart into you all. So I love that. He says, let's go. I love it. I love it. Let's rock and roll. Donna says, hello, everyone. Blessings. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's kick the night in gear. Once again, week 2 of 21 Days to the Life You Love. Hey, here's what's exciting. After tonight, we're halfway through. Halfway through the course. Listen, what I love about this course, it goes really fast. It's really quick. And let me tell you something. It's just a power punch of information. But most individuals leave after this 4 weeks absolutely changed. So we're definitely excited to implement these principles into you all tonight. Let me start off by asking how the homework went for you all. Who all downloaded the homework and actually got it done? Did you get your binders done? Give me some feedback in the chat room. All right. All right. Kristen says she's happy to be here. Okay. Talk to me in the chat room, you all. Did you all get your homework in? How did it go? Did you get your binders done? Give me a little bit of feedback on how that worked out for you all this week. All right. Tamara says homework done. Still working on your binder. Awesome. 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 Awesome, awesome, awesome. Still working on that binder. Well, keep it up. Keep that momentum going. Let's see. Donna said yes. Donna said yes, like she just got it all done with multiple exclamation points. I love it, Donna. That's awesome. Andre said did the homework and the binder. 3 of my students at school joined me in making a vision binder for themselves. Now, won't you look at that? That is awesome. Tyranny said her notebook is done. I love it, Tyranny. I think this is like your second or third notebook. I love it. And I so appreciate you joining us this time around. Looking forward to having you impart and partner with us in the future. So we're super duper excited about that. Well, great job, everyone. It looks like everyone definitely jumped into the work. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into the course tonight, but communicate with me in the chat box about the main thing that stood out to you in the homework. What was the part that was the toughest? What was the part that you liked the most? Any questions on the homework? Go ahead and throw those in the box, and we'll talk about that as we go throughout the course. But we always like to start off with a rock solid thought. And what I want to say to you guys is change is inevitable, but progress is optional. Let me say that again. Change is inevitable, but progress is optional. What does that mean? All of us are going to change. We're going to have a change at some point. I'm 40 years old now. 10 years from now, no matter what happens, I'm going to be 50. Now, whether I progress and see some change in my life from this point to that point, all matters in the things that I decide to implement in my life. Am I going to die empty? Am I going to die with all my hopes, dreams, thoughts, and aspirations coming from the inside of me? It's all a matter of if I make the decision of progress. So tonight, I want you all to make a decision and know that, number one, change is inevitable, but progress is optional. I want you to make a decision tonight. Say, I must progress. I must progress. And do me a favor and type that in the chat box. I must progress.
Andre's giving some really good feedback.
Good. Let's see. The assessment quiz was real for me. I love it. The timeline brought a new level of understanding for me and understanding why I am who I am. I love that. That's really good. Thanks. Glad to be here. It's definitely a game changer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. Type that in there. I must progress. I must progress. Listen, this thing has to be a must, folks. And I got my beautiful wife here with me tonight, J Rock. She's going to be joining us here in just a little bit. But we are going to have an exciting night. I love it, Tyranny. I must progress. Tamara said, I must progress. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let that be your rhythm for the rest of the week. I must progress. I must progress. I must progress. No matter what. All right, so tonight is week 2. We're going to be talking about deleting old files. These are some great, most of the students that we've had in the past love week 2 for the information that we cover. So here are the chapters that we're going to be covering. Chapter 8, we're going to be talking about ending the tyranny of the shoulds and removing the labels from your life. Guilt stifles the flow of creativity. And we have this saying, stop shooting on yourself. And what is shooting on yourselves? We're going to talk about it later on. It's really, really cool. Chapter 9, forgiving versus forgetting. You notice, and this is what I love about this chapter, we didn't say forgiving and forgetting. We said forgiving versus forgetting. It's a really, really, really cool chapter. You guys will love it. And then chapter 10, avoiding the 4 C's. This is probably like of the things that we cover throughout this course, this is one of the top things that people really pull from, that avoiding the 4 C's. What are the 4 C's? Competing, comparing, criticizing, and complaining. These are things that we want to avoid. We're going to talk about that tonight. Then we're going to talk about, in chapter 11, deleting old files and downloading what? New software. Just like, I got a new MacBook computer. Every once in a while, when you have a phone or a computer or, some sort of device, you have to download the new software, man. You can't go with, after a while, you have to get rid of those old files. You have to clear some things out and download that new software. We're going to talk about that tonight. Then we're going to move into chapter 12, managing and mastering your emotions. This is powerful stuff. Being positive versus being in denial. What's so significant about that? Because sometimes people are positive, but they're in denial. They're not really being truthful with themselves. So we're going to talk about how do you maintain that positivity, but then how do you be truthful with yourself so that you are not in denial. Then we're going to move into chapter 13, Multitaskers by Nature. We're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to talk about life, college, career, family planning, household engineering, vision boards is going to be great. Then we're going to move into chapter 14, the history. And this is probably one of my favorite ones, the history of the Chinese bamboo tree. Understanding the law of perseverance, purpose, the price that you pay, the process, and then what happens after that? You obtain the prize. Great stuff tonight. So looking forward to digging in with you guys. How you doing, Janice?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you for asking. Happy Monday, everyone.
So let's jump into it. Let's get into it. So obviously you guys know who we are. Hopefully you guys are plugged in to our emailing list. If you're not plugged into our emailing list, definitely go to relationshiprescuerx.com and sign up. And you guys have seen us on various TV shows. Make sure you subscribe with us. And let's jump into it tonight. Let's jump into it. Chapter 8, ending the tyranny of the should and removing the labels from your life. What does this mean? Now, I told you the statement that we spoke of where we talk about not shoulding on yourself. What is not shoulding on yourself? Tyranny said, J-Rock in the building. That's right. She's here, folks. She's here live and in the flesh. She'll be joining us shortly. So get ready. So check it. Tyranny of the should. Stop shoulding on yourself. What does that mean? Many of us live a life where they say, you know what, I should have more money by now. You know what, I'm 40 years old. You know, I should have my own TV show by now. I should be doing this. I should have done this. I should have done that. You know what, I should have taken that chance back then. Or you know what, stop shoulding on yourself. You are in the place that you were destined to be. You are living in the moment right now. Just be in the moment. And you know what? Of course there are, you know, you may say there's some things that I should do, but why don't you change that and just start doing the things that you need to do? Because what does shoulding do to you? It builds guilt, and guilt stifles the flow of creativity. Because when you walk around feeling guilty, there's no power in feeling that guilt. There's no energy that flows from a state of feeling guilty, right? It puts you in a weak state. And you need to be in the state in order to flow, in order to live the life that you love, in order to help someone else live the life that they love or that they're desiring to reach. You cannot be in guilt. You cannot should on yourself, but you have to live a life where you know that, you know what, I've taken the chances that I've needed to take. I've done the things that I've needed to do. And you know what, if there was something that I didn't do, maybe that was divine order for my life, that it just was not supposed to be. And then you want to, you know, there's this whole mentality, this scarcity versus abundance, right? Where, you know what, the world is abundant. Everything is here at our disposal, right? But a lot of people have this scarcity mentality. And Brother Andre said, this is similar to my philosophy of there is no such thing as trying. Absolutely. Stop trying and just do it. You know, and Brother Andre, you make me think about this. You know, there were times when I would do a training and I would have people get up and stand up in their chair. Matter of fact, all of you tonight, I would imagine that all of you are sitting down somewhere, right? So do me a favor, if you're not too tired from like an extremely long day, right? We got to get our energy up. I want you to stand up, right? And just look at, matter of fact, just look at something on your table. Like I'm looking at something on my desk right now, right? So I want you to take a look at it. Well, I said stand up, but
okay, I'm gonna
you can stand up or you can sit. Whatever,
okay, I'm gonna stand
right?
up.
But here's the key. I want you to look at something, focus on something. If you stood up, maybe it's the chair. Look at something on your desk. Just look at something that you can physically lift, right? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to try to pick it up. whatever item that is, whether it's your phone. I'm looking at my phone, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to try and pick this phone up, right? Now, if the item that you're looking at, if you've picked it up and it's in your hand, then you did it. You actually picked it up. You're not trying, right? So you need to put it back down and try to pick it up, right? And if it's just sitting there, if you're not doing anything with it, then you're not making any moves, right? So you're not doing as well in it. You need to try to pick that item up. What's the point I'm making here? It's either sitting there or it's picked up, it's in your hand. You're either not doing it or you are doing it. There really is no trying, right? You're either doing it or you're not doing it. So if there is something that, instead of shoulding on yourself, if there's something that you've not done, just accept it as like, you know what, I didn't do that, or I didn't need that. And if you've picked it up and it's something that you needed in your life, just accept it that, you know what, that's what I needed to do and I'm moving forward with it, right? But don't have this scarcity mentality that, the world is going to run out of opportunities. Like, man, I should have taken a chance on that. Man, you know what? Folks making money in that network marketing company. Like, man, I should have taken a chance. So do you think that there are no other opportunities out there? Don't have the scarcity mentality, but rather have an abundance mentality, right? Where like, you know what? I did not take advantage of that opportunity, but you know what? There must be something better out there for me. There's always something better. And early psychologists and followers of Sigmund Freud, Karen Horney, created this whole theory of not shoulding on yourself, right? She believed that we must let go of our ideal self in order to become whole. Now, this part you all are really, really, really going to like, right? Recognizing the different versions of yourself. And each of us have three ultimate versions of ourselves, right? So number one, there's the ideal self, right? It's everything we feel that we should be, right? It's the ideal person. Like when you think about yourself, you think about yourself in terms of your ideal weight or the amount of money that you feel that you should have, or, the personality or charisma or creativity that you feel that you should have. There's this ideal self, right? And then you go on and you have the actual self, and it's everything you believe yourself to be right now. Like, this is who I am right now. This is, how I'm functioning right now. This is who I actually am. And then the third one is the real self, right? It's who you can actually become. So you have the ideal, the actual person that you are now, and then your real self, that person that you can become, right? And so you just have to identify, where are you in the process? You have to identify where you are within your own process. Are you operating life as your ideal self? And are you constantly going around saying, hey, I think I should be like this. I think I should be like that. It'd be great if I was this person or that person. Are you living in that ideal self? Are you living in the actual self, the person that you are now, and just accepting things as they are now? Or are you pushing toward that real person that you can eventually become? And I would say the stronger place is somewhere between the actual and the real, right? Like, this is who I actually am, but this is who I'm working on becoming. How can we find that middle ground?
Yeah, because I think that, and that was so well said, Mr. Rockman.
Come on now, Sister Rockman. Jump up in here, girl.
That was so well said. I was just going to say, I think that so often most of us spend most of the years of our lives trying to suppress or change who it is that we authentically are. And there's a quote that I saw once by an unknown author, and it says that God made you an original, so why try to be a copy? God made you an original, so why try to be a copy? So I think that it's really it's an insult to his very creation to try to be just like someone else and to try and dismiss those parts of your personality or the way that you look, and change it. It's nothing wrong with becoming the best version of yourself, But to try to be something else and to not be okay with who you are authentically, it may be time for you to change your environment. It may be time for you to change the people that you're around and get around people who don't just tolerate you, but people who also celebrate you. I see a question. Talani says, Rock, can you elaborate on how to find out where we are now? Okay, so he's pointing back at me. That's a good question, Talani. Just kind of a self-assessment. Ideal self is everything you think you should be. So that's that perfect self. That's that ego that Sigmund Freud talked about, the perfectionism in all of us. And one thing I like to say is that we're all perfectly imperfect. So kind of let yourself off the hook there. The actual self is what you think that you are right now. And the real self is who you can become. I guess, Talani, if you asked yourself, and Mr. Rockman, can you please give me feedback if you feel that this is accurate? But you can kind of just do an assessment of yourself and say, at this very moment in time, do I feel that I've attained and that I am where I'm supposed to be, that I am living out the highest expression of myself in this moment? Am I living out the highest expression of myself in this moment? And if you can answer that question, yes, I'm living out the highest expression of myself, in other words, the full potential of who I am right now, then you probably are operating in your real self, who you can actually become. If you are doing lots of shoulding, like I should be further along right now, I should have a six-pack by now, I should have more money in the bank, I should be single, I should have never gotten married, or I should be married, shouldn't have stayed single, whatever it is. If you're doing a lot of should, S-H-O-U-L-D, then you're probably in the ideal self. And if you're in a place where you're just like, you know what, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I also realize I'm not perfect. I just am what I am right now. I'm just in a holding space right now. I'm just comfortable in my own skin, and I'm okay with that. You're probably in a place of the ideology of your actual self. Does that answer your question, Talani?
And then Brother Andre said, and this is spot on. Can we liken the actual self to acceptance and the real self to being progressive? That's exactly what it is. So you're going after, this is who I really can become, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the person that I can become. So as you work towards that progression, right, you also have this acceptance of your actual self. Like, you know what, I'm comfortable in my skin, who I am, and my progress, if you will.
Yeah.
Talani said, well said, Coach. Yes, that's a great question to ask.
Of self. Yeah, thank you. And and here's another point. Thank you so much, Talani, for the feedback, and great question, Andre. Another thing that's really important is we have Grace, who's 7, Joshua, who's 3, and Maximus, who's 2.5 months. We don't tell them that they can be anything they want to be, because that's lying to them in our perception. So if you tell your children this, and if you continue to after this class, that's okay. Or if you're a teacher or a mentor and you work with students and you tell them this, it's okay. We're just offering some ideas to open up your thinking and your capacity, but we're not saying that one is right or wrong. We will say, though, we don't tell them you can be anything you want to be, because to tell them that is to say, like, for example, I think Shaquille O'Neal, by the time he was like 10 or 11, he was like 6 feet. If his mother said you can be anything you want to be, he could not be a jockey. He was not physically formed and shaped to be a jockey. Joshua would like to be Superman on any given day of time. I don't want him to jump out the window and try and fly. He cannot levitate and fly at this point. So frankly, I was told that I could be anything I wanted to be growing up, and I didn't become anything I wanted to be. So I don't want to give them a misleading statement. This idea of perfectionism, even when they do something well, I try and stay away from saying perfect. Oh, perfect. It's like excellent, because there's only one who is perfect, which is our Creator. We can just strive to be the most excellent version of ourselves. And I said all of that about being anything you can be is what Andre was making reference to, acceptance of what you're really capable of. Because until you can really have that acceptance, you really can't progress into the best version of yourself, because you're sort of locked. You're locked in this fascination and this obsession of what you could have been or what you should have done. And so you don't want to stifle your flow of creativity that way. And you want to have a healthy relationship with yourself and embrace who you are, imperfections and all.
Awesome.
Okay. All All right, so let's talk a little bit about forgiving versus forgetting. This is something I really like to talk about. I am a marriage and family therapist, finishing my internship and all of that good stuff, which I'm really excited about. And since I was a child, I always thought as a marriage and family therapist, I always thought about marriage and family and relationships and family systems. And so that's just, I could eat, breathe, and sleep it. I tend to go over a session with my patients because I'm like, okay, we need to cut this off now because I really enjoy my work. I said that to say that this whole topic of forgiving versus forgetting, it trips a lot of people up. There's a lot of people who have experienced, all of us have experienced some pain in our life. Most of us have experienced some form of trauma. More often than not, people don't realize that they've experienced a trauma because they don't identify it as trauma. Okay. But with that being said, what really trips a lot of people up is they're like, you know what, if I forgive this person, it's like I'm letting them off the hook. It's like no one wants to address anything. No one wants to, everyone says, get over it, forget the past, move forward, as though remembering the past is some sort of, form of weakness. And it's not, because our past can be an informant of our present day and possibly our future behaviors, the ones that we need to repeat and the ones that we don't need to repeat. If you follow us on Instagram at Relationship Rescue, we recently posted a quote last week, and I really want you to listen to this because this pretty much encapsulates the entire conversation that we're about to have with you about forgiving versus forgetting. And you can see it on our website, in our feed, on our Instagram feed, or you can go and follow us at Relationship Rescue. And by the way, if there's any quotes that you hear tonight that you want to tweet out or Facebook or Instagram and share with the world, share them, tag us in it. Let's continue to create this movement. So at the bottom of the class, you'll see this quote. It says, it takes just as much energy to disassociate or cut someone off as it does to simply create a new boundary and reposition the relationship. When long-term conflict of any kind persists, divorce and disassociation are not our only marriage, family, and friendship relationship options. And then it says, learn more about repositioning relationships by subscribing today. So the idea of repositioning the relationship, say that out loud. Say, I must reposition relationships.
I must reposition relationships.
There comes a time and there comes a season in everyone's life, and it's always a cyclical thing every year, just like there's winter, fall, spring, and summer, but you have to reposition relationships. But, a lot of times people will say, you know what, I'm cutting them off. I'm not having anything to do with them. I'm isolating them out of my life. I'm not speaking them to anymore. And what we're suggesting to you in this quote is that it takes just as much energy to do that as it does to put them on the relationship wheel and say, you know what, you're no longer in the inner core. I'm going to put you a little farther out on, in this medium space. Now let me put you on the outer core, because I've learned that you're not a safe person who I can share my heart with, or I've learned that you're not a safe person where I can just be my authentic self without being torn down or criticized or ridiculed or questioned or whatever it may be. So repositioning relationships, and we'll sing you this relationship wheel. We talked about it last week. We talked about our core values and how we put our faith and our family first, marriage and children, then our extended family, then our work, then our commitments and that sort of thing. On this relationship wheel, just imagine it like a dartboard, reposition them. Okay, let's jump into this actual slide. The definition of forgiveness is the renunciation of resentment, indignation, or anger as a result of a perceived offense, disagreement, or mistake. It says remembering is necessary so that history doesn't repeat itself, at least negative history doesn't repeat itself. If you ever have somebody who says, just get over it, just forget the past, you need to move on. Not to say there's not some space for that, but people don't say that when you go to all of the monuments in Washington, or, I went once to Rome and they have that gladiator Coliseum there that you always see in the movies. But guess what? Like right next to it, there was old Rome, and they had this entire city that had been like dug up. It was like deep down in the earth, and they didn't destroy it. Why? Because they wanted to remember. That's why we have Martin Luther King Day. That's why we have a Holocaust memorial. That's why we have a World War II memorial, because there is a significance in remembering. Okay. Also, forgetting is helpful. Forgetting can be helpful because once you have established a new boundary, then you can move forward, and then you can nearly forget. The problem is, and the reason that we have a hard time forgiving and letting go is because the component that most of us miss in this relationship wheel in society is we do not understand the power of setting boundaries. When you feel hurt, angry, frustrated, offended, those are all change alerts, okay? Those are all alerts and signals saying that a boundary has just been crossed. So you may need to re-inform the person about the rules of engagement. You know, when you're around me, I really would appreciate it if you didn't speak to me like that or in that tone or use that kind of language. You know, you can't just pop over my house whenever you want. You know, I noticed when we're with all our coworkers, you always use all this sarcasm and these condescending jokes about me. I would kind of prefer that you know, back up on that a little bit. These are just examples of setting boundaries. There even have to be boundaries in marriage. You know, there have to be boundaries between father and son, mother and daughter, parent and child. Boundaries are so important. And when you have the proper boundaries in place, you've established your rules of engagement. And yes, you may have to practice this. It's not going to just happen overnight. Then you can begin to let go with greater ease, with confidence, and you won't have that threat of harm because our body is physiologically wired for us to feel fear, to feel anger as a self-protection and preservation model from the earliest human beings on this planet. That's why you get that feeling in your stomach, those butterflies. That's why you perspire. That's why you get nervous when you feel as though you've been, you know, offended or violated or insulted. That is a physiological response that's been hardwired in to care for ourselves. Next bullet point, anger and frustration are often signs that boundaries in personal or professional relationships have been crossed or blurred, and we just talked about that. And establishing new boundaries does take work, but it's valuable and it's necessary. So don't be afraid to establish new boundaries. You'll have to do it in your place of work. You may have to do it in your place of worship. You'll have to do it in your home. You may have to do it in your neighborhood. You'll especially probably have to do it with people that you grew up around, where you say, you know what, I got to do a software upgrade. You know, it's me 2.0, it's me 3.0. Let me reteach you how to treat me. Like Maya Angelou said, people treat us how we teach them to treat us. And when someone shows us who they are, it's our responsibility to believe them. And then we can take the choice and have the power to reposition that relationship. Does that make sense to everyone? Repositioning relationships, forgiving versus forgetting. There's power in remembrance, but as you forgive and set new boundaries, you begin to reestablish a relationship where you almost could nearly forget some of the most devastating things or uncomfortable things that can happen in relationship dynamics.
So this is something powerful that we like to say. Forgiving someone does not mean, and just to reiterate this point, forgiving someone does not mean forgetting what they did. It simply means letting go of the hurt, right? Because when we're in a position where we're not forgiving someone about something, and like we said, once again, it's not forgetting that it happened, but forgiving, we're not hurting anyone but ourselves. They are not affected in any way by you not forgiving them or you having animosity toward them or you being angry or upset toward that individual, right? They are not being affected. The only person that's affected is you. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is to let go.
And they will be affected by you setting a new boundary. They will be affected by you stating what you need and communicating. And, you know, from a health standpoint, and this is something we're going to talk about later in the year with Relationship Rescue on some of our television episodes. So kind of stay tuned for that. But, you know, with every memory that we have, with every event that we have in our lives, and particularly with stress, that energy, it doesn't just go away. That energy, we hold that energy in our bodies at a cellular level. So oftentimes when you see people with heart disease, they have truly had a broken heart. When you see people, you know, that constantly have headaches, they're overthinking things. When you see people that are often dealing with chronic stomach upset and things like that, a lot of this is from holding all this energy in, and our cells begin to be affected and impacted by it. That's all that cancer is. It's deformed degenerative cells, cellular life. So you want to let this stuff go so you don't get sick, right? And I could go more into it. I won't tonight for the sake of time, but there is an emotional attachment and direct connection to every physiological illness there is. I mean, whether it's allergies, whether it's cancer, whether it's heart disease, whether it's arthritis, When we hold that energy in our body, we hold that, especially if there's been a trauma, we hold it in our neck, our shoulders, our belly, and our knees, being weak-kneed or whatever it may be. It has an impact on our body. So even if the person is kind of hurt that you haven't forgiven them, ultimately the ultimate damage is to you. And listen, you may have to wake up every day and redecide to forgive. It doesn't mean it's a one-time thing and it just goes away forever. You may have to continue to forgive over and over again. And just remember that to the extent that we judge others is usually to the extent that we judge ourselves. So as we begin to let go of criticism and judgment of our own selves, it's much easier to begin to let go of that criticism and judgment of others as well.
That's good stuff. What do you guys think about that? Forgiving versus forgetting. What do you guys think about that? Let us know in the chat box here. And let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 10, Avoiding the 4 C's. This is powerful stuff. What are the 4 C's? Competing, comparing, criticizing, and complaining. Let me tell you something. This is just about accepting life as it is. So what do we mean by that? In life, there's always going to be individuals around you. Well, I'll say it like this. You'll always have three type of individuals around you. You'll have people that are at your level. You'll have people that are above your level, and you'll have people who you can pull up that are not quite at the level that you're looking at. You'll always have those 3 type of individuals in your life, right? And, when we are in a position in our life where we're living the best life that we can live, we're putting our resources out there, we're helping people, we're pulling people up. We've got those mentors out there that are helping pull us up. Listen, let me tell you something. There's always going to be someone that's doing better than you. Tony Robbins taught me something that was very, very powerful. He did a seminar and he had 2 individuals there. He had a gentleman there who made in excess of about $4 million a year. And he asked that individual, "Are you happy?" And the gentleman said, "No, I'm not happy." And he said, "Well, why aren't you happy?" He said, "Well, I'm at, I'm at 8% body fat. I need to be at 7% body fat. And, I know I'm only making $4 million a year, but most of my friends are making between $5 and $10 million a year. So I'm kind of way behind the 8 ball on these guys." And he just began to go on about things in his life that didn't necessarily add up. But the guy made in excess of $4 million a year. So then there was another gentleman there who was just kind of the life of the party, just jumping around, having a great time. And he asked that individual, he said, "Are you happy?" And he said, "Absolutely." And this guy maybe made about, $70,000, $80,000 a year. And he said, "What makes you happy?" He said, "When I get up in the morning and my feet touch the ground and I know that I am alive and I have a chance to do it all over again, I'm happy." Right? What makes you happy? Ask yourself that question. Are you happy? Right? If you are or if you are not, what makes you that way? And what we've learned oftentimes is what drives individuals to a point where they are not content is the 4 C's. You're competing, you're comparing, you're criticizing, you're complaining. There's always, is there someone that's out there that's going to do it better than you? Absolutely. There's an individual that I know that's very successful. He's not the greatest speaker. He is not, this person that's just perfect and has it all together. There are a lot of people out there who could do it better than him, but he's very successful because you know what? He said, "You know what? I'm going to be the best version of myself that I can be. I'm not going to compete with anybody else. I'm not going to compare myself with anyone else. I'm not even going to criticize anyone for the way they do something. And you know what? I'm not going to complain, but I'm just going to be the best version of myself."
That's so good. I really enjoy what you're sharing. That's so true. And I think all of us could probably stand to step away from this construct that we really have in Western society, where our self-worth is tied up in our performance and what we have. And the supervisor at the therapy practice where I work a couple days a week, he often says that the biggest thing that causes pain and suffering in our lives is the stories that we create in our own mind about who we are, the expectations that we have of other people about what they were supposed to do or should have done. And you're not competing against your brother or your sister. You're not competing against your siblings or your coworkers. You're competing against the best version of yourself. You ask yourself every day, what is the best version of who I have been to this point, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally? That is what I'm competing against. And the comparison of like this person's doing better or has more or whatever, that's all a matter of perception as well. Um, can I share something with them about like how I was like, well, you came in number one personally. I'll just in general terms.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you. I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure before I just like totally share
Right.
our conversation with you. But Rockman had said to me recently, like, wow, like, I had this particular financial goal and, I ranked out at like third in this particular financial goal in the quarter. And I said, okay. And he's like, man, I'm a little bummed at that. He's like, am I just kind of tripping that I'm bummed out about that? I was like, no, I don't think you're tripping that you're bummed out about it. I let him own his emotion or whatever he felt about it. But I said, you may have felt like you ranked in third in that particular financial quarter, but you came in first in your personal life. Okay, did you catch that? I said you came in first in your personal life. So, as a seeker of God, as a husband, and as a father, I mean, he came in first this last quarter. I mean, we just had a new baby, and like he was so incredibly present at the hospital before, during, and after, and at home, and with the children, and with me, and just keeping all of this together. And so, did it take a little bit of focus away from the other objectives we had? Yeah. But did he come in first place personally? Yeah. So, all in all, were you a success over this last quarter? It's a matter of your perception and what your bars of competition are within yourself and for yourself and goal setting. So, if you say, gosh, I didn't get anything done this weekend. Okay, well, what does getting something done mean to you? Did you spend time with your children? Did you spend time with your neighbors? Did you get some rest? Did you get some self-care? Yeah. But I had all this paperwork I was going to do. I needed to go dry cleaning. I needed to go clean my car out. I didn't get anything done. But again, did you have self-care? Did you have time to develop spiritually? Well, it sounds like you got a lot done to me. Did you sleep all weekend and did you need it? Sometimes you need to just sleep until your body wakes up. Forget about the alarm clock. Okay, now. So then you were a success. So you get to define this. Okay, so I'm hearing love it.
You know what?
Yes, this is good.
I
LOL. This stuff is going to ratify and change the world. I'm telling you.
I want to say this, right?
The system.
So I want to say this. So, many of you all see these celebrities out here and they're like, no sleep, baby. You know what I'm saying? Sleep is for the weak. We grinding all day and we grinding all night, And I used to have that mentality, right? I used to be this guy like, man, I'm not going to sleep. And I used to sleep, about 2 hours a night?
He was like so proud of the fact that he was sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night.
I'm on my grind, no sleep.
Okay, dear.
But then when I drove my car in the ditch because I fell asleep at the wheel,
hello.
At some point I had to get sleep. I didn't realize it was going to be behind the car.
Hello.
So I drove my car in the ditch. And from not getting any sleep. And so this is what I learned. The body needs sleep, right? The body needs sleep. So all these guys that talking about no sleep, they ain't sleeping at some point, right? Or they have insomnia. Like they need to go get that checked out.
Well,
but this is the thing, right? If that works for you, and I think the ultimate point that they're trying to make is that you really have to be on your grind. Like you really have to be tenacious about whatever goal it is that you're trying to hit. But I used to have this anxiety behind sleeping. Right. Like I used to have this thing where you got to think about where's the energy coming from, because I used to have this thing like where I started to feel guilty if I got sleepy. Like I did not want to go to sleep. You know what I mean? And I felt like, and I used to have this thing where I would say sleep is for the weak. That used to be my saying, And you know, I would
Because
say
they have a team working on their stuff while they sleep.
I know that's right. Come on
Right.
down. So you know, so I used to have this anxiety behind sleeping where I would get anxious if I was getting sleepy because I was like, man, I need to stay up. But like, who can really do that, right? So what I learned is like, as long as you're doing the right things within the right hours, you can get your sleep, right? Because how many of us waste a bunch of time while we're up and awake, right? But if you're not wasting time and you're doing the right things, then you can go on and be and do whatever it is that you want to do and still get your required amount of sleep. Now, do you need 8 hours of sleep? Not necessarily. I probably operate off about, 6 hours of sleep on average, but it's not like it used to be where I was only on 2 hours of sleep, right? But why should you not compete? Because the other person's advancement means nothing. Why do I say that? Because they may be better, they may be smarter, they may be stronger, but do they have the heart that you have? This is why we shouldn't compete. Why shouldn't we compare? Because you know what? There's always going to be someone that has more than you, that's doing it better than you, that's doing it different. You have to find your own way of doing. Why should we not criticize? We shouldn't criticize because you know what? We don't know what that person went through to get to where they are. Why should you not criticize about your position? Because maybe your position is a blessing right now that maybe will take you on to something else, which leads me into why should we not complain? We shouldn't complain because you know what, wherever we are, whatever it is that we're experiencing, once again, maybe it's a blessing that's going to push us to the next level. Andre said, that's me. Rarely can I sleep past 5 a.m. Hey, you know what? If that's you and that works for you, brother, do it, man. But make sure the right energy is behind it. Because I know for me, the right energy was not behind it. I was doing it for something totally different. So, good stuff. Any thoughts, comments, suggestions, questions on the last few items that we went over? Go ahead and throw those in the chat box. We'll handle those as they come up, and we're gonna keep this thing rolling tonight. Jumping into deleting old files and downloading new software. Chapter 11. So we believe that your thinking shapes your words. Your words shape your actions. Your actions shape your habits. Your habits shape your character, and your character shapes your life. I'll say that again. Your thinking shapes words. Words shape actions. Actions create habits, and habits is what creates your character, and your character is what shapes your life. So everything starts where? With your thinking. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7 tells us that. So changing your thinking changes your words. And when you change your words, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, that ultimately causes you to change your habits. And when you change your habits, your character and eventually your life can do nothing but change. So when we say deleting old files, what do we mean by that? We mean getting rid of the stinking thinking. Because everything about your life, everything that you are, everything that you are today, every situation that you're dealing with, whether you believe it or not, whatever you're faced with right now, whatever challenge you're faced with, it all started in one place. It started with your thinking. It started with your thinking. And then you started to, based on what you thought, you started to speak words about that process. And then by you speaking those words, you took action upon the words that you spoke. And because you took action on the words that you spoke, then you begin to develop some new habits. And many of us know a person's character is based on the things that they do commonly, regularly, day in and day out. That's your character. And once again, your character, it shapes your life. The fact that you all have decided to take this course is part of you deleting those old files, right? Many of you have taken this course for many different reasons. Man, that would be amazing if I could know specifically know the different reasons why certain people decided to take our course, right? Many people take it for different reasons, but ultimately, you are starting that process of, okay, you know what, I need to delete some old files. I need to do some things differently. I need to, or continue to advance in whatever it is that you're doing. But I always tell people this: don't stop with what you're doing here with 21 Days to the Life You Love. Find other courses, find other seminars, find other workshops that you can tap into, that you can partner with, that you can, get involved with. Read books, find mentors, find people that you can really, get close with, so that you can learn a new way of thinking. Because when you learn a new way of thinking, which is what I like to call the root of your life, then if the root can be affected in the right way, then the fruit of that tree will blossom into something beautiful, right? The life that you love, right? How do you create the life that you love? It starts with your thinking. What are you thinking about on a daily basis? That's why we're getting you all to, put together your vision board, to write out, your plan, your lifeline, so you can understand who you are, and then those changes that you need to make. And once again, it's not about just thinking positive.
No.
Just thinking positive is not going to do it, but it's about really changing into the person that you need to be.
Yeah, because thinking positive can be a coping mechanism. It can be a way of deferring addressing reality, honestly.
Yeah.
So it takes more than that. And sometimes you need to be positive that things are really messed up.
That's right.
I can tell you that I am positive that this is really messed up and this needs to change. And until you get to that point, you can't change something unless you can own and embrace it really is. You can't decide where you'd rather be until you first admit and acknowledge to where you are. And I think all of us need a process of excavation of our minds and deleting old files on a regular basis. I mean, it's a life journey. We don't just get there and stop. We go on and on and on, changing, evolving, and becoming better.
Give me some thoughts. Give me some feedback on that. I got a little technical glitch I'm working through here. Give me some thoughts. Give me some feedback on what we've shared so far tonight. Okay, there we go. I don't know why this is. Good. Changing my mindset and actions behind it, making them purposeful, is exactly why I'm taking this course. That's good stuff. I've learned so much since meeting you two. I'm rocking with the Rockmans. I love it, baby.
Thank you, Andre. And
rock and roll,
I noticed
baby.
You said that you're sharing the binder project with your class, which we are definitely going to be following up with you about, because when we first started this course back in 2010, when we were in the Southeast, we would actually go to schools and universities and work at putting the curriculum in there, so it's early enough so they can be getting this information early on. So thank you for sharing it with your class, and we want to talk with you a little bit more about that. Tamara says that is so true, and Casey says,
brother, preach. Good stuff, man. So hopefully, I don't know what's going on. I'm running into a little bit of a technical different here. Let me ask, can you all still hear me? Okay, he said yes.
So we could go to the other speaker.
Uh-oh.
If you want to talk about being positive versus being
Yeah, let's I'm sorry, bear with me for one moment, folks. I don't know why everything just kind of slowed down on me here.
Does it make a difference?
All right, here we go. I think we're back. We're back. Okay, you all just type in the chat box if you all can still hear me. I just want to make sure we're good with everything. We kind of ran into a little bit of a glitch there for a second. Okay, my man said all good. Perfect, brother. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's move into chapter 12, managing your emotions, right? Positive attitude versus denial. What does that mean? Positive attitude versus denial. Donna said, this is so awesome. I can hear y'all. Yes, I'm glad you can hear us. This course is what I need to help me get to my potential, brother. Let me tell you something, brother KC. You are going to get to your potential. Let me tell you something, Donna, Tyranny, Tamara, Andre, Kristen, listen, you are going to get to your potential. Just believe it, receive it, feel it all within your body. You are going to make it. You must make it. Matter of fact, put that in the chat box. Say, I must make it, right? So we're talking about positive attitude versus denial, right? So being positive, let's imagine a boat. I'm still in this. But let's imagine a boat, right? A boat that has a huge hole in it, right? A huge gash in it. Now you can be positive and say, you know what, I think we're going to make it. I really believe that we're going to make it. But if that boat is constantly sinking, you're not going to make it. The boat is going to sink, right? But you can say all day long, you can be positive about that. Like, man, I'm really positive. Like, man, I really believe we're going to make it out of this, man. But if you're not hoping for the best, right? But you're in somewhat a bit of a denial because the big gash and the hole is in the boat, but you're not taking any action, right? So you're in somewhat of denial. But having a positive attitude, and what we want you all to get from this is it's good to have a positive attitude, but don't be in denial. Make sure you're taking the proper action as well, because
there's a thin line between positivity and hope and delusion.
Exactly. And if the boat is sinking, why not figure out a way to plug the hole up, right? So that you can stay afloat. How do you stay afloat, right? You have to take action. What is it in your life that you feel that you are being just positive about, but you might be a little bit in denial, right? Where you're like, you know what, I think this is gonna work out. Like I really like you can go down to the water company and go and say, you know what? I know y'all been talking about shutting the water off. And listen, let me tell y'all something. I feel really good about this. I think this is going to work out. I feel good. I'm positive. I'm not sad. Listen, this is good. I believe this water situation is going to work out. They're going to tell you, well, unless you have some money that you can put down on this water bill, it is not, you are in denial, my brother. You have to have some action with whatever it is that needs to change in your life or that you need to do, right? Let's not be in denial. And this is really about just being truthful with yourself. And, part of, this process is taking an assessment of where you are, right? Like, where am I in my life? Like, where am I in my finances? Where am I in my body? Where am I in my relationships? Where am I, in whatever areas? Like, take account to different areas in your life and really pinpoint on the map where you are. And the only way that you can go further is if you're really truthful with yourself. Now, you can be positive and say, well, I'm a little overweight, but you know what? Everything's going to be okay. Like, if you need to lose weight, you need to say, I'm fat and I need to lose weight, right? You need to be straight up and just honest with yourself, right? Brother KC says, exactly. I've been taking action lately. Thanks for the confirmation. Absolutely. Tyranny says, exactly. I love it. So, you want to talk? You want to talk a little bit about this, Janine?
Sure. I think also it's almost like if you're outside running and you scratch your knee and it starts to bleed and you pull your blue jeans back down over it and you're like, I'm just going to keep a positive attitude. That doesn't make the wound go away. That doesn't make. Good. Thank you, dear. That doesn't make the action or what just happened go away. So you could be positive about it, but you're really in denial until you actually look at it and give it the proper care and the proper treatment. And I have found that oftentimes if you find yourself stuck in like a holding pattern, like if you keep having the same kind of like relational issues with like friendships, you keep running into the same wall, or in dating or in your marriage, you keep having the same disagreement or argument, or in your financial life, you keep running into the same wall financially. A lot of times there's something unresolved in your history that you need to resolve and deal with in order to clear the space neurologically in your brain, in your mind, in order for you to move forward. So it's almost like those events are suspended and I know this is getting into some neuroscience, so I'm not gonna go far into it, but those events are suspended in a neurological net. So if you could just imagine a fish net, but it's like a neurological net in your brain until you release those things and you deal with some of that stuff. Sometimes people say, gosh, growing up, my uncle or my aunt, they raised me and they disciplined me a lot. They spanked me all the time and it had a really negative effect on me. It was right around the time where I started working and earning money. And ever since then, I've always had a really negative self-image, or I always felt that I wasn't good at managing money, or I had to always give my money to my parents because they were struggling. And so now I feel like there's never enough. You got to go back and dig some of that stuff up. And as Mr. Rockman said so well in the other slide, you can't just pull the fruit off the peach tree. You've got to go to the root of it, take the root out if you want to change the fruit, and then put the kind of seed that you want there to be, which is absolutely what you all are doing by being in this course. You're changing the root, you're changing the seed, which is then going to change. Really? That is then going to change the fruit, right? No, really, but by being in this class, you're changing the seed, you're changing the root. And guess what? It may not look like it's going to happen overnight, but just think about the tallest, think about a short tree, as a matter of fact. Those roots are going deep. So you can't always judge your change in your life or your progress by what you can see on top. Sometimes you have to go by what you trust and and compare yourself to your best self from previously before. Okay, so that's good. You better preach, lady. No, I will keep the baby. Thank you. See, even now I'm holding baby in my arms and he's offering. I was
trying to keep that.
He's offering to take the baby. Well, anybody that knows us by now should know, since we started our practice in 2008,
you let the people know
our children are pretty much always with us when we're working, but it's because we made a conscious decision that they wouldn't ever have to feel that we chose the advancement of our careers over the advancement of our relationship and our bond with them. So now it's to the point where
listen, when your passion is to help people and to see them at their best, no matter what, even if you have to hold the babies, you get the job done.
Well, Maximus is sitting here looking at the screen and he's getting
actually sitting very
he's taking it all in. So there's no age spiritually. He's taking it in for his future. But anyway,
you got to get into your purpose, Maximus.
Well, first, you know what? You can take him and change his diaper.
Okay. Now you hear that? I'm changing diapers on the course tonight. You weren't supposed to let the people know that about that on tonight.
It's a family affair.
We normally keep this stuff quiet for the course, but
I guess. Anyway, well, you know what? I wanted to share it because I just want to let you know we're everyday people. So you just make life work. We choose to do it, and the other two are with their, with their little nanny help or whatever, and they're having fun outside. But, they know at any time if they need to come and knock on the door or come into our office space, that it's open for them, because so often we spend most of our lives building our careers, and professionally we're a success, but personal or private failures. And so we've just made a decision that we want to bring a lot of balance to that. Okay. Chapter 13, Multitaskers by Nature. Thank you, Donna. Too cute, Andre. On tonight. Tyranny, hilarious, and Tamara, LOL. Okay, so multitaskers by nature. We're systems oriented by nature. So if you ever had somebody look at you and say, you can only do one thing, you can tell them, I just took this 21 Days to Life You Love course week 2, and I found out that I'm actually created to do multiple things synonymously by nature. And the example that we give of that is just looking at our universe. I mean, we have a solar system. Right now the sun is setting in North America. I remember when Mr. Rockman and we went over to Asia some years ago, and it was so interesting because while the sun is setting here, the sun is rising there. The sun is rising in parts of Africa right now, in parts of South America, and there are multiple solar systems within the universe, and the Earth remains on its axis, all in one, without falling out of the sky, out of the middle of nowhere. So it's just really profound. It's really, really, really profound how we have these multiple systems happening even within our own body. You see the bullet point, it says we have our cardiovascular system, our neurological system, our digestive system, our skeletal system, our muscular system. And we have all these systems working at one time together, simultaneously, synergistically. So you can do multiple things. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything at once, but you can have it all, just maybe not all at the exact same time, but you can do multiple things at once and do them well. So this is kind of taking us into our conversation about delineating what is important for us from week to week and identifying a day per week for each thing that you do so that you can begin to have that balance in your life. And Andre just put a comment on there that his balance is very good. He takes his children to many of his fitness sessions and talks to them about what he's doing all the time. This is good because ultimately our mentees, our neighbors and people that we help inspire in our life, or our children, they're not going to do what we say. They're going to do what we do, right? So we're created to mirror each other. We're created to be sponges and to take things in. You as parents, you're your children's first representation of God, of love, of life, of community in the planet. So the fact that you're taking them with you to exercise is really a great, great commitment. KC says he takes his son with him all the time so he can see what daddy does. That's so good. And sometimes when you're going through things, and Rock taught me this, it's a good idea to let your children know when you're going through things. I was raised to keep all that contained. Like, what's wrong, mommy? Nothing, I'm fine. Right. I'm like, I'm having a fit inside, but I'm like, it's good. And he said to me, babe, if you don't show Gracie how to work through adversity, right, and to let her know that you have it, how is she going to know how to handle it and work through it herself? Right. She'll think there's something wrong with her.
So I taught my wife, because if she had a moment where she, cried or something like that, she would try to hide it from Gracie. And I'm like, why would you hide that from her? Like, people cry. It's a natural emotion, right? And for her to be able to see that, okay, my mom has cried before, she's had these emotions. Now, I don't think Gracie's ever seen me cry, but
when you were praying,
I ain't crying.
No, you prayed before and she saw you. Okay. But and it doesn't mean that.
Oh man, men don't cry.
Yeah, men do cry actually.
No, but there are times when I might be in prayer or whatever, and I might get emotional. Sometimes I get emotional if I pray or whatever. And and Gracie has seen me cry. And there was times she said, "Daddy, are you okay? What's happening?" Like Daddy's just praying or whatever.
And it doesn't mean that Gracie would see the fullness of the emotion that I would share with Rock.
Right. Exactly.
So there's some composure there, but it's allowing her to see a range.
But what I love is that, when she gets to a place in her life where she experiences adversity, or she's in a place where she's emotional and she cries, it's now just a normal part of life. Like, emotions are a part of life. And we can't hide those emotions, right? But now, not that, we just gonna be crying in front of everybody, you know what I mean? But but your children, you're trying to teach them to come up and be the best version of themselves, right? And part of, sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're afraid, sometimes we feel bold, sometimes we feel strong, sometimes we feel courageous, whatever the case may be, right? And not that we stay in a negative place or a down place or a depressed place or whatever the case may be. We learn methods of how to pull ourselves out of that. But ultimately, when our kids can see that we know how to handle our emotions, and we probably could have talked about this a couple chapters back, but when we know how to handle our emotions, it teaches our children that, hey, I know how, I can learn how to
just
do
remember,
this.
emotions are they're emotions, they're energy in motion. They'll take you in a direction. And there's not necessarily negative emotions, but there can be change alerts. So if you feel lonely, if you feel depressed, if you feel unsure, those are change alerts. It's just like if you put your hand on a hot stove. Thank God for the ability to have that sensory mechanism to tell you, you know what, there's a change that needs to be made. So it's not about denying your emotions or being ashamed of what you feel. Own it, OWN, own it, embrace it, and then move through it and find out what is it the change that it's telling you that needs to be made.
Now, here's what I love that Brother Andre just said. And this is what Janice and I have found that normally happens within this course, is that you see people begin to branch out in their passion, in their vision, in their purpose, right? Because I love what Brother Andre said about, starting some sort of men's purpose course or like a men's role model type of course. Let me tell you something, brother. That is so necessary in our society today. There are so many men that don't know how to be men. As a matter of fact, I may talk to you about that because I've been thinking about doing a man plan course. Like, what is your plan on becoming a man? And really get some of these younger guys in it. Like, what's your man plan? Like, give me a written plan of how you plan to become a upstanding man, right? So that maybe that's something we can partner on, or I'll be glad to help you and push you in what it is that you're working on. But here's the deal, right? The point that I'm making is that the whole purpose of this course, number one, is for you to find, 21 days creating those new habits, right? Getting to the life that you love. But then if you're wanting to, in addition to that, go on and, pursue life coaching and help other individuals, is to find that purpose, that thing that you are destined to do, right? The thing that you are purposed to do, the people that you are purposed to help, and like I've mentioned before, we have people who are, stylists, beauty experts. We have people who work with single moms that have been through our course. We have people that, we have lawyers that have been through our course. And they're coaching in all different fields and aspects and doing different things. And, so something pinpointed with the men, I mean, that's really, really, really powerful. So,
okay. Oh wow, there's some good
right
stuff
now,
in the chat. Okay, so by the way, Talani says love how the dads are representing on here tonight. That's the deal, guys. KC, did you read that? Wow.
Yeah, it says I thought I was wrong for doing that. I show my emotions around my son and I tell him to pray for me, and he does, and he hugs me and says, "Daddy, are you feeling better?" Hey, listen, man, that's good stuff, man. It's good to see your son. Let your son see that. Hey, you know what, son, we deal with real emotions, but you know what? We bounce back. We do what we need to do, and that'll help him deal with whatever it is that he does.
And we have this thing in our society historically, Casey, that's so good, where we feel that the word emotion has a negative connotation. Who told us that? And again, that has to do a lot with the roots of our history of our country, some of the things that our country has been through, to where it's like, just suck it up, just get over it, don't show emotions. But if we didn't need them, we wouldn't have been given them. And for many people, millions and billions of people across the world, one of the highest examples of how to live life as a human being on this earth was shown in the person of Christ, right? So did Christ ever experience emotion? Did Christ ever experience sadness? Did he ever experience tears? The answer would be unequivocally, if you read the text, yes, he did. Does that mean that he was weak? Most people that would say that they are either followers of Christ or strongly believe in the things that he represented, they would say absolutely not. He was one of the strongest people that ever lived. So there's strength in that. And even, if you look at and you study throughout history, it's okay. We tell our children it's okay to have anger. It's okay to have frustration. It's what you do with it. If there wasn't anger, oh my goodness, the Jewish community would have never been delivered from Nazi Germany. If there wasn't anger, we would have never had the civil rights movement in North America. So there's a place for anger. There's a place for frustration. There's a place for joy. There's a place for peace. There's a place for every emotion that we're given. And the longer we try and suppress them, the more difficult it becomes for us. So it's great that you all are sharing and doing this work and bringing liberation to people. That's why there's so many angry and hostile people, even in politics today, because people have been repressing and suppressing what they really feel. They're tired of being stepped over. They're tired of being overlooked. But if we would just let that flow on a regular basis, it won't all build up like a dam of water that just bursts forth.
That's good stuff, J-Rock. Good stuff, J-Rock.
Thank you, sir.
Good stuff, class. I love how you all are sharing tonight. So let's do this. Okay, so then that takes us into chapter 13, right? Man, we're just throwing so much information at y'all. Whoa, 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 here it comes. Can you catch it? Go, J-Rock.
Can I say one more thing?
Go.
I just think it's really great. Kristen shared the multiple times my dad has cried have all served to strengthen my bond with him. It's strong, not weak, to be true self. That was really well said. And Andre says he's been waiting for this part of the course. All right,
Sweet.
let's go.
All right, so 7-day system, right? So this is about, all of us are multitaskers by nature, right? And I would imagine that many of you all that are part of this course, you may be in a position where, you work a regular 9 to 5 or a regular job, but then, you have some aspirations that are larger than that, you want to seek for, or maybe you're already within that business, or, maybe you're already within that great career that, you're like, man, how do I manage my day? How do I, flow through with all the things that I have to do? Now, number one, all of us, every single person that's a part of this course tonight, all of us have one thing that's in common. It's not different. It's not more. It's not less. We all have the exact same thing in common. And what is that? 24 hours in a day. All of us have exactly 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. And it's all about what we choose to do with that time. And you're really going to see your life. Clutter kills confidence, right? And when you're,
can you say that one more time?
Clutter kills confidence.
Wow.
And when you have clutter in your life, it makes it difficult to be effective. But when you have things organized, you have a system, it really makes your life that much more effective. So we love to talk about, within this course, having a 7-day system. My wife and I have a 7-day system that we operate off of. We're having to make some adjustments to it now.
I'm so glad you said that, dear. You're so divine in your statement. Yes, he just said we have to make some adjustments. You know what? Every so often, probably twice a year, you're going to have to maybe make adjustments in the way that you do your planning system, because your life is going to evolve and change.
That's
your
right.
Your responsibilities are going to evolve and change. Your own aptitude, your own abilities are going to evolve and change.
You might have a child and situations.
But even if you're single with no children, or you have a fur baby, or you have no babies at all and nothing, and it's just you and your friends and your wonderful community, your life is still going to evolve and change.
Absolutely.
So don't get so married to this that you feel like, oh my goodness, why am I not doing this the same as I was back in 2016 or 2010 or whenever you first started? It needs to change, but this gives you a roadmap, a roadmap for every week.
So here is one that Janice and I had. This is not exactly the same system that we follow off right now, but it's something that we put together that was really, really strong for us, right? So Monday would be our planning day, right? So we would get together at a certain time and just make our plans for the week. Hey, what meetings do we have this week? What courses do we have coming up? What coaching clients are we going to be meeting with?
For the whole month.
What bills do we need to pay? Like, we were really planning out the week, planning out the month, or whatever the case may be, to make sure we were both in agreement. And then Tuesday would be like a household engineering day. So this would be the day, like, hey, we do our deep cleaning, we do our washing, we do our laundry in the house, we, do a little bit of organizing, we do our dry cleaning, we make sure everything around the house, our cars are cleaned up, we make sure everything, in the house is functioning properly and clean and everything's looking good. So then going into Wednesday, we would do back-to-back meetings day. Now, what back-to-back meetings day meant was like, okay, we got to talk to the TV producers today, and we have to meet with the lawyers today. We've got an event coming up. We need to meet with our team about, scheduling the event. Like, Wednesday was like grind day. Like, literally Wednesday hump day was hump day.
And for this phase of life, because of where I am, Wednesday back-to-back meetings for me is like the orthodontist appointment, the dentist, the pediatrician.
Right.
It's just a day full of meetings to make sure the household is running.
Like, this is the day that you're really going to grind, right? So then Thursdays would be faith and family day. Now, what Janice and I would do, we would do a date night on that day. We would try to spend some time with our children. Or, this would also be a day where, we hooked up with, extended family, or if, we had friends that we wanted to go out and hang out with, we would do that on Thursdays. And that was just our rhythm. Every Thursday night, we had something cool that we would do, whether it be hanging out with friends or, having friends come over or going out to a movie or whatever the case may be. And then Friday would be wrap-up day. Hey, what did our week look like? How did everything flow? How did everything function? Is there anything that we missed? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? How do we wrap up this day, right? Or wrap up this week? That was Friday. And then Saturday would be a family fun day. This would be a day where we would go out and just do something really fun, really cool. We would go out and we would go to a park.
Right now it's family movie night.
Right now so we've switched it. We do like a family movie night instead of like the family fun day deal, but we still get out and have some family fun though. But so that was our Saturdays where we really got outside and really focused on, just having some fun. And then Sunday was just a day of rest. Now Sunday would be the day, would be a technology free day for us, or like Janice has here, technology free Friday. We would turn off all the phones, we would just shut everything down. And what did we do? Nothing. We did nothing on this day. We didn't watch. We planned to do nothing. We slept as long as we needed to sleep. I told y'all about that sleep earlier tonight. But we slept as long as we needed to sleep. We, read books. We sat around with the children. But you know what? We weren't cued into the phone. We weren't cued into social media. We weren't cued into Facebook. We weren't cued into our computers or laptops. We weren't doing webinars and seminars. We did absolutely nothing. Because let me tell you, even God rested on the seventh day, right? So, the whole deal about no rest is ungodly, because even God rested, right? And so that was our system. So, what would be a system that you can implement for yourself? Let me know in the chat box. Do any of you have a system that you follow now, or is this something new that you've heard? And are you planning on implementing? Tamara says that's a great system. Definitely need to implement. Well, it's there at your disposal. Steal our system and use it for yourself. Absolutely phenomenal. But let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you guys are doing, something that you've used in the past? Any thoughts on that? Let us know in the chat box.
And a lot of this was born out of the need for a lot of clients who said, gosh, I feel like my life is all over the place. I feel like I don't know what direction to go in. I'm being pulled in so many different areas and things are just so out of balance. And so Jack Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, says that oftentimes you have to slow down in order to get ahead. And so this is a way of slowing down to get ahead so that you are a private and personal success as well as a professional success in the process.
All right, let's do this. This is the last chapter. Donna said this is a wonderful system. Good stuff. I love it. So listen, last chapter, you guys. We're about to wrap this night up. We've had a great time tonight. I love spending time with you all. This is our last chapter, chapter 14, the history of the Chinese bamboo tree. I absolutely love this chapter, and it's really just about perseverance, right? So the development process of the Chinese bamboo tree is a great example of perseverance and persistence. Now, for an entire year after you plant a bamboo seed for a bamboo tree, and you continue to water and fertilize. Now, I want you all to hear me very closely. Hear me very closely. As you continue to water and fertilize the seed, nothing is happening that is apparent on the outside, but the development process is already beginning. So then in the second year, it's exactly the same. You continue to water, nurture, and fertilize the seed, and you do not see any tangible results on the surface. Year 3 and 4 is very much the same as far as a bamboo tree. You consistently repeat the same process. Year 1, year 2, you're watering, you're fertilizing, you're nurturing, and seemingly nothing is happening. But finally, in the 5th year of the tree's development process, something new happens. As you continue to water and fertilize the seed, the Chinese bamboo tree sprouts and grows 50, 60, 70, up to 90 feet in just 6 short weeks. What do we mean by this? Liken the Chinese bamboo tree to yourself. You're constantly watering and fertilizing and nurturing yourself, your spirit, your body, your soul, your man, your woman, right? And no one can see anything happening on the surface to you. You're taking courses like 21 Days to the Life You Love and other webinars and seminars that you've been a part of. And you know what? No one can see what's happening at your root. But you know what? You better believe under the ground of these bamboo trees, these are some of the strongest trees, or bamboo is the strongest wood known to man. And you better believe those roots are growing deep. Even though people don't see anything happening on the outside, those roots are growing extremely deep and strong, right? And then all of a sudden, it's an overnight success, right? It just sprouts and it grows and everybody sees and they say, man, that came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. People didn't see the process that you put in, the hard work that you put in, the sweat equity that you put in, the nights that you spent week after week after week, logging into courses like this, spending an hour and a half, 2 hours with someone, downloading this information, and then taking those lessons and saying, going back and doing the assignments and doing the work and studying yourself. This truly 21 Days to the Life You Love is really a study of yourself, right? So then you're studying yourself and you're learning about yourself. And then people that see you, they don't see the growth. It's just like my daughter. My daughter over the past few years, you know, we've moved from Tennessee several years ago, and she's grown so much since the time that we were in Tennessee. Now, in a couple of months, or I think in a month or so, we're going to be going back to Tennessee. And what do people usually say when you've been away for so long? They've been away from you for so long, and they see the kids. Oh my God, you've gotten so big. Oh, you've grown so much, right? But when people are around you, they don't like, to me, it's like, I don't really, the growth has been so gradual. I really haven't seen it with Grace. But I'm sure when she goes around other people, boom, ultimately they'll see the growth. Let me tell you something. People will see your growth. They may not see it right now, but you're watering, you're fertilizing, you're nurturing, you're doing the necessary things that you need to do to grow. And believe me, there is going to come that time where you're going to sprout up like the bamboo tree. And you're going to grow 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 feet. And you're going to be at that pinnacle of where you've destined yourself to be. And people are going to say, man, you were an overnight success. No, you weren't. You were working and you've been developing all this time, and they did not see the work that you put in. Awesome stuff. Give me thoughts. Give me feedback. Casey said he's implementing the system. Let's see this. Andre says, I really have to take time, this hectic schedule of mine, so that he can sit down and do the darn thing. I love it, brother. I love it. I love it. Kristen said, thank you. That's motivational. For real.
Not for real. For real.
For real. Tyranny said, as far as the system goes, this was my prototype, and yes, it's effective, even with the fur baby. Mm-hmm. I know that's right. Tamara said, awesome. Well, we say awesome to you too, sister. Let's move. All right. We're at the end tonight. Great time tonight. Continue to throw up thoughts. Brother KC said, thanks. Awesome. I'm about to cry. Nobody knows. Woo. People see the results, but nobody knows the pain that we go through sometimes to get to where we need to be. Let me tell you something, brother. If you knew.
We are well acquainted.
Let me tell y'all something tonight. I'm going to be a little transparent with y'all tonight. Yes. If y'all knew what it took for us to get to this place in our life, yes, you would cry. Yeah. If you knew what it took for us to leave a place and come to a Texas that we've never been to before in our life, when we came to this town, we came here by faith. We had never been to Texas ever in our life. Well, we came once. Someone flew us in for a seminar. Someone flew us in for a seminar, but when we moved here, we had nothing set up. It was all by faith. But now, by the grace of God, we're on TV regularly here. We have a TV show that's sprouting up. I mean, God has been so good to us. You took it from the move. But if someone knew the circumstances of our upbringing, Lord, growing up individually, not I mean, we grew up on two separate sides of the Come on now, we grew up on two wrong sides. I came from the wrong side of the track. No, I did not say that. I didn't say that, but I'm just saying people really even knew our story as relates to us growing up. You would, as Rock said, you would shed a tear. But we said that to say that you're not alone. We said that to say that we are not perfect. We said that to say that we're nobody special. We were just two people that decided not to give up on God and not to give up on each other. Donna said, put that Chinese bamboo slide back up there, young brother. I will do it. I will do that for you, my sister. I will do it. Let's see. That's very true, KC. What Donna? Okay, brother Andre wants it back up. Okay, I'll put it back up. But Andre said Texas not all that bad. Listen, man, let me tell you something. I love Texas, bro. I'm just saying what it took me to get here, bro. Like it was. We've been all over the world, and Austin is our favorite city in the world, literally. Yeah, no doubt. Tyranny said, come on, look at God. And I say, come on, let's look at him and focus on him. And he can give us the desires of our heart. I love it. God is so awesome, always showing up and showing out in our lives. That's right. That's right. That's right. So I'm going to put this Chinese bamboo slide up before I leave you. But I want to talk about our assignments going into next week. There are 3 assignments: the tyranny of the shoulds, forgiving versus forgetting, and we have something there where you can download and create your 7-day system. So keep in mind, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, right where it says week 2 assignments, you can download those 3 assignments. They're really cool, really easy, real quick. And hey, keep calm. We're halfway there, baby. Kristen said, that's the beauty and strength of learning from you both. Validates the truth of your statements here. Awesome. Anna said, this is so good. People have no idea what you have to go through to get where God is taking you. Hallelujah. She said, great class, Robert. Well, thank you all
everyone.
so much. Thank you all for sharing with us, spending time with us.
Tweet, type, text, Facebook, inbox about it. Share your feedback, your takeaways, and we've got some stuff coming up, sharing this information in schools and other places, universities. So let's help transform the world together. 21 Days to the Life You Love.
21 Days to the Life You Love. I'm going to leave for you all. I'm going to leave the history of the Chinese bamboo tree slide up for a while so you guys can hang out here for a little bit if you want to download that information. But otherwise, have a great night. Until next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay. We'll see you soon.
Love y'all so much.
Be well.
Y'all have a great night.
We believe in you.
We believe in you guys.